I've got another quick review for you just in time for the start of spooky season. It is Mystery of Mysteries, The Death and Life of Edgar Allan Poe. And this is a biography of, obviously, Edgar Allan Poe, told through the lens of his death, which is, of course, the biggest mystery that he ever left behind. I learned so much about Edgar Allan Poe from this book, and I know you will too. I'm going to share just 3 things that stood out to me. These are by no means spoilers. You still very much have plenty of material to cover when you go get the book yourself. Number 1, Poe was a total jokester. We have this sort of public conception of him as somber and brooding, when in reality, he was hilarious. He was a total clown. He even lied, straight up lied, in autobiographical pieces, in interviews, just to spice things up. You got to think, this was pre-internet, obviously, and so he could lie about things, get away with them, and see how many people believed his shenanigans, or how many people actually called him out and said, hey, that's not what you said in this other interview. What's the deal? So he entertained himself. This probably isn't a surprise if you are familiar with people who write horror. We tend to be some of the jolliest folks around. Many of the, we'll say, fables that he told involved military service, which just never happened, but he seems to have been mimicking the career trajectory of his literary poetical hero, Byron. Speaking of Byron, this brings me to number 2. Poe actually wanted to surpass Byron in terms of poetry. Of course, we all know Poe for his poems, The Raven, Hello. However, he is even more popular for his horrific short stories. Ironically, Poe did not necessarily want to be known for horror. He didn't necessarily want to be pigeonholed. He saw himself as gaining fame really more for his criticisms, for his humor, for his poetry, and the horror came sort of as a way to make money. Of course, in his pretty short life, he did not achieve the level of fame that he desired, or that he certainly gained posthumously, but I think we can all agree that he definitely did surpass Byron in terms of cultural staying power, and in terms of the generations of writers that he in turn inspired in the genre. And number 3, Poe was a hopeless romantic. You may have inferred that actually from the tone and the nature of a lot of his poetry. He had a real way of becoming infatuated with these forlorn female figures, even if they were already married, or a cousin, or very young. Even for his time, his contemporaries gave him the side eye on that one. A lot of speculation surrounds his love life. He got into a lot of public scuffles over romantic liaisons that he probably shouldn't have. You'll learn more about that in the book. But many believe that his marriage may not have even been consummated. He really just loved being around this tragic female archetype. And that has a lot to do with the losses that he suffered very early on in his life. Like I said, no real spoilers here. Even a diehard fan of Poe will be super surprised by some of the revelations here.